the Irish Mags Show, episode 117. It's been a week. Last week, it was just myself and Alan, and we were talking about having 3 games to play by the time we'd record again. Another development is that Krisho is back to join us once more, having missed it last week. Krisho, welcome back to the show guys. Once more. I am Paul, I'm your host, and of course, Alan is here as well. A lot has happened since we last recorded, gentlemen. It's even hard to begin. I mean, we live in a world now where we're just going to casually chat about how we went and beat Manchester United with 10 men. We live in a world where we're disappointed to not beat elite European giants Barcelona, where we should have beaten them 2 or 3-0, and we're disappointed with a 1-1 draw, considering they are La Liga leaders as we speak. So I don't know. I don't even know, lads. This season has just completely turned me upside down in terms of like how things are going, because there's some unbelievable moments, some poor moments. We have so much hope in certain ways and no hope in other ways. It's just been an absolute drain. But the one thing I want to start off today's show with, Alan Williamson, I don't know if you heard this. I picked up on this before the Barcelona game, and it was mentioned during the Barcelona game. In the top 5 leagues in Europe, Newcastle United have played the most games over any other club this season. I can't remember the exact number, but is it 50?
52, I think, or something. I think I heard 52, yeah. I see that actually, which
that's insane.
And that's what we've always wanted. Look, the reason we're doing that is because we got to a semi-final of the Carabao Cup. We're just been knocked out of the FA Cup. We had to play the extra game in the Champions League. Which didn't want to. We're in the Champions League. We have to play these games. So if we want to be at the big boy table, you have to play big boy games, and that's what we're doing. And we're moving in the right direction, but it has taken a toll on our season. Let's be very honest about it.
It has, Krisho, especially given that we don't really have the squad to be the team in Europe that's playing the most games in the entire continent. I just felt like we have a squad, but the depth and quality, to like what Alan's saying, yes, we went to the semi-final, we got knocked out of the FA Cup, we're in the last 16 of the Champions League. But do we have the squad to reflect that? I think the Premier League is a clear illustration of no, because of how much impact it's had on our league position.
I think it's really being highlighted now, sadly for all of us, because let's be honest, the last couple of weeks the lads have really put their heart and soul into playing a bit better and a bit more cohesion and so on. But it's really very, very evident that we have no squad depth. We don't have enough quality replacements to come on when there's tired legs. Tired legs don't take chances. And I'll say it over and over and over. We are not taking the chances that we're creating. There's some good play, but there's tired decisions being made. There's tired tackles being made. There's tired shots being taken. And it's really quite sad, really, when you think about it, because again, Eddie Howe's gone above and beyond with a very thin squad to last 16 semi-final of the Carabao Cup. Getting knocked out by Man City. Anybody can get knocked out by Man City at any stage. So there's no loss of honor in that. But it's just so disappointing that, if you look at our fan base, that's the best squad depth and the best squad in the whole of world football, in terms of expectation, in terms of passion, in terms of their support. And we just don't have the team. We just don't have the squad or the quality. And losing Bruno, I hate saying the kind of final nail in the coffin for the season, but losing Bruno was very, very, very close, Paul, to being the final nail in the coffin for the season.
Yeah, and I think injuries in key positions as well, nobody would have expected Kieran Trippier to have to play 12, 15 games in a row. Malik Chow, I could see it on 70, 75 minutes in the Barcelona game that he looked visibly just kind of tired and rattled. Sandro Tonali is just, running his socks off as he always does. Joe Linton. You can see the impact it's having on the squad. And more importantly, Alan, on the league position. I'm looking at it right now as we speak. We're recording the day after the Barcelona game. It's Wednesday, I think. We're 12th in the league. There's 9 games to go. We're on 39 points. Now, the 3 teams above us are all on 40, which is Sunderland, Fulham, and Bournemouth. And then Everton are 4 points ahead of us. But considering Newcastle United finished 5th in the league last season, and now we're currently 12th and probably at best hoping for a European spot, and realistically more likely to just get a top 10 spot. Given everything we've just discussed, all the extra games, the squad depth, the injuries, and most importantly, and it's where I'm really going to press you on, the transfer window, the summer transfer window activities. Obviously, Isak leaving was what it was, but overall, what are you putting the lack of success down to mostly, Al, in terms of where we are in the league? We're almost doing a season post-mortem here. We still have 9 games left, but I feel like we're at that point where if we go out of the Champions League, we're really just talking about the league, and it may be too little too late.
I do think it might be too little too late in the league, but I'll tell you what the difference is. Man City came to St. James's Park and made 10 changes. And the 10 changes they made, I think nearly all of them would have started for us. Like at this moment in time, I think every single one of their players got into our side.
Yeah.
That's what we're dealing with. You're dealing with Man City have 2 excellent sides. Arsenal have 1.5 excellent sides. We have 13 great players. After that, we're really scraping the barrel. Like, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but Alex Murphy is still our replacement left back. Like, we haven't had a replacement right back pretty much the whole season. Dan Burns, 33 years old, and is still playing 30 games a season. Like, it's just not. We don't have the squad to be dealing with 4 competitions. I never want to say that we should have raised the white flag and put out a poorer side in one of the games, but we'd won the Carabao Cup last year. We didn't want to go out with a whimper in the first round. That's not what you want to do. Look at Crystal Palace doing it in the FA Cup. The FA Cup, we couldn't afford to not have a decent run of the FA Cup. But again, we get Manchester City in the quarterfinal or the round of 16 or whatever it is we got knocked out in. We had a tournament too many this year, essentially. We always want to do our best in all these competitions, but it's really coming home to roost now. It's just, I think it's all down to the lack of squad depth. We don't have players that we can, after 60 minutes when we're kind of cruising in a game, not even cruising, 60 minutes if we're 1-0, 2-0 up, you can go, right, we're not exactly done in a game. We'll take off at Bruno. We've no one to bring on to kill off a game. Like, we've Joe Willock. Do you trust him, honestly, 1-0 up against Crystal Palace at home to come on and kill off a game? We can't afford that at the minute, like in the nicest possible way. We just don't have the squad to be doing it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a pity, Chris, show, because this is what we were saying last season and the season before, where we were rocking with the same 13-odd, 14-odd players, and that we clearly needed upgrades. And I think a lot of us thought those upgrades were here. Maybe not up front. Obviously, when Isak leaves, there was never going to be an upgrade on Isak. So we diversified. I think Wissa was brought in probably as a replacement for Callum Wilson, if we're honest.
Yeah.
Ultimate was probably a bit of a break glass for emergency. We need to sign someone. He was the only player we managed to bring in. I think we all probably thought Elanga was going to be an upgrade on Jacob Murphy. Granted, we'll talk about the matches now specifically in terms of how he played, especially against Barcelona. Probably as well. Ramsey is starting to come along, to be fair.
Yes,
it has taken him a while and he had an injury. But we still ultimately have been left in a similar position where we looked healthy when we had Tino and Lewis Hall playing together, right back and left back. We've barely seen that this season. Things were positive when Miley was coming in playing at right back, and then he goes out injured. You know, there was a point where we were completely stacked at centre back because all 4 were available. Suddenly Shara's gone. Byrne kind of dropped out. Botman, as usual, gone every few weeks. So despite names on paper looking like we had this squad depth available to us, I suppose it is fair to say that Eddie Howe hasn't really had the pick of them. There have been other teams that have had worse injury crisis, especially Crisis Club Tottenham. But even if they had the players, I don't think it would make much difference.
No.
So I wouldn't say we've had the worst injury crisis in the league, but where we've had injuries, it has hit us hard. And to combine that with, as we just said at the top of the show, playing the most games of any club in all of Europe's top 5 leagues, it's a big ask. And my question for you, Krisho, is, you know, does Eddie Howe come out of this fine, safe, secure, understandable, or is there pressure if we end up finishing mid-table and we go out of the Champions League?
Look, Eddie Howe's, like I said, he's done a miracle job. Essentially, he was totally left completely exposed post his sickness, his illness. He should have had a summer off to relax with his kids and his wife, but he got pulled in to a very, very distressing situation with Isak. If Amanda Staveley was about, I don't think that Isak thing would have even got to that point. So there was a lot of people supporting him and helping him in the kind of senior management within the club. And I don't want to come on here and criticize our club, but there has been the excitement has tapered off. The investment seems to have tapered off. The interest seems to have tapered off. Yeah, there's been appointments and so on. Yeah, I get it. Maybe this is just a transition year. But Eddie Howe has done a fantastic job with the players that he has, with the injuries at key points throughout the season. Tino, Bruno, Miley, Shar, Nick Pope's inconsistency. So the people he trusted also, some of them have let him down, frankly, in their performances when they've done a great service for him for 3 years. So there's a lot of factors here where you can't really pin it on Eddie Howe in any way. And you really have to look at the overall structure of the club, how it's run, how he's being invested in, because I don't see another manager out there that would be as good as Eddie Howe with our club, and the rapport and the credit he's built up with the fans. There's just no way. But I think that essentially, just to be clear, if we do go out against Barcelona, we gotta go. Well, look what we got as far as we've ever got, and hopefully we won't get smashed 5-0 in Nou Camp. I don't see that. And if we do get 9th or 10th, well, then it'll just have to be a lot of lessons learned here for the fans, for the senior management, for the board, for everybody involved with the club, that we need to invest more. We need to get more players in. We need to get more talent in, because if we want to match the expectations of us as fans, this wasn't the way to do it this season. This has been a horror show. Horror show.
I think a lot of your points are valid, but I literally was going to say, Alan, I know you like disagreeing with Chris Show.
Yeah.
And I want to tee it up. Because while I agree with a lot of the points raised by Chris Show, I have questions about losing to Brentford at home and losing to Everton at home and some of those performances. But go on, take it away and have a...
There was just two things you said. It was, the first one was about Amanda Staveley being there and the exact situation not happening. You're dead right, actually, in one sense, because Isaac still wouldn't be with us, because we would have been hit with a 25-point deduction. We would have been forced to sell him a season earlier, and we would be nowhere near where we are, because that woman, great woman, hugged players on the pitch, done everything right at the start of the season, a couple of seasons. She ran us into the ground money-wise. She is the reason we had to sell Anderson. She is the reason we had to sell Minta. She didn't know how to run a football club. And that's not a slight on her. She's a businesswoman. She ran us into the floor. Wonderful woman. Hugged the players. Isaac wouldn't have been with us, because we would have had to sell again if she was still our CEO or owner or whatever she was. So that's just not happening. And I actually agree with you that there's no one else to replace Howe, because I do not want Howe out, but I guarantee you, if Howe did leave or did get sacked, Jose Mourinho is the first man to be linked with that job. And I think that's dinosaur football. That we just can't go down that road. It's just chaos. We cannot go down the route of firing managers. Look at Chelsea. Every 7-8 months they have a new manager. It never works. You might get a trophy out of it, but it just doesn't work. You need a bit of stability. I hate saying Arsenal are the way you should be looking at it. Arteta's first 3 years in charge, I think they were 8th, 7th, and 8th. And it was, what's he doing there? And now look at them. They are one of the elite sides in Europe.
But they bought players, Al, that they consistently, season on season, bought players, good young players.
Yes, right. So Arsenal are 20 years ahead of us financially. As much as we do not want to admit it, they have tire sponsorships, they have whiskey sponsorship, they have a tie you put around your neck sponsorship, they've suit sponsors, they're 20 years ahead of us. If you go to Beijing, you will see a little kid walking down the street in an Arsenal jersey. You might see one Newcastle jersey, you'll see 10 or 15 Arsenal jerseys. They are a worldwide brand. We're not there yet. We can't argue about we can't do what they're doing. Yeah, we're not at that table yet. It's a pointless argument. We're not at that big boy table yet. We don't have that.
What table are we at? Are we at the
we're at the Villa,
10th?
the Everton.
Are we
yes,
6th
the
to
Villa
10th table?
Everton. That's exactly where we are. We are spending the 8th most in the Premier League on wages. We're making the 8th most in revenue. We're finishing the last 3 years. We finished 8th, 5th, and 4th. Like we're punching above our weight. But in the last 3 years, we've punched above our weight twice out of 3 seasons, and people are giving out about it. Now we're punching under our weight, and people are giving out about it again. It's how much money you can spend is about how it is based off of what you can make. We don't make the money yet. Yes, we're trying to. The season tickets went up by 5%, and people are outraged. The club have to make money in every single sense and every single way, and lads are just not happy about it. I can tell you for nothing. If someone said to me, you can have a season ticket next season, but it's going to cost 20% more than the person who had it last year. Do you know what I'm saying to him? Thank you very much. I'll take that season ticket right now.
Yeah.
People are whinging because I can't believe we're the second cheapest season ticket in the Premier League. And people are still giving out. Like, this is what you're dealing with. If you want to compete at the top, you have to be willing to pay top dollar to see that product. We're not doing that yet. We need to get all these sponsorships in place. And that's, you said it yourself. Hopkinson has come in. Wilson has come in. Eddie Howe was hung out to dry last season. We need to give him this summer. Wilson needs to do a serious job in getting players in over the line before the World Cup, because we can't compete with teams once the World Cup has started. I'm sorry. They'll just throw the money at them, and we can't do that. And Hopkinson needs to get some serious deals in place for training ground, kit sponsors. I don't care. I want anything and everything with a Newcastle brand on it that you can buy. I want it, because we're not doing it enough yet.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it's clear. I think it is hard to compete in the transfer market. We did make transfers and signings that haven't worked, and there's different conversations as to why those ones haven't worked and who's signing them. And it's made all the more clear, which we'll come on to, when Will Asula is starting ahead of Ultimate and Visa. Like that just really sums up.
Yeah.
Sick note. Where was sick note? Where was sick note, lads? Did he have a goal?
I said it to you. Like,
Runny
if
nose?
that was any of us three, and like, I would have to have been decapitated.
If you want to play, you'd play.
Yeah. You'd have to.
We'll come on to that, because we're gonna talk about those games. But when you look at that, you look at the transfers that were made. Yes, we can't compete, and it's understandable. But I still do think, given the squad we have, given the players we have, and the manager we have, being 12th is a massive underachievement as far as I'm concerned. And I think that I would like, fair play. Carabao Cup semi-final, great. Getting to the FA Cup knockout against City, fine. Getting to the last 16 Champions League, fantastic. But we may go further, because I think we still actually can go and beat Barcelona. But just falling back on these league performances where we've dropped ridiculous points against, Brentford at home, Everton at home, losing to West Ham, drawing with Wolves, and the games that we did win. We beat a 10-man Villa side. We narrowly beat the worst Tottenham side that history has ever seen. We scraped past Leeds at home and drew with them away, newly promoted. We just about beat Burnley away, who were obviously down the relegation zone. So I still think there are questions to be asked. And it's not saying Eddie Howe's to blame.
No, it's not right.
But
Okay.
But collectively, there are a lot of poor performances. But there are a lot of reasons as to why as well. I'm not an Eddie Howe out by any means. My whole thing with Eddie Howe has always been, if he wants to stay and if he still has the graw and the drive, absolutely stay. I remember I said it to you lads that, I did, before Tuchel signed his contract with England, I suspected that he would leave England after the World Cup, and then Eddie Howe would be first on the list. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that space. But I do get the feeling Eddie Howe is tired. I mean, granted, he's not playing 52 games, but he has to manage and do all the analysis, and he's up at 5 a.m. and he's home at 8 p.m. It's a lot. And I just feel like he may himself want to break. And if he wants to go, he goes in good graces. But I wouldn't be in a hurry to sack him for that reason. Right. Okay. We need to talk about games. We need to talk about Manchester United, and we need to talk about Barcelona. We need to talk about the Champions League. We might have a little chat about mentality as well, lads. So we'll take a quick break just to compose ourselves. And when we come back, let's talk about football. A huge thank you to our podcast sponsors of the Irish Mag Show. The Half Volley, providers of high-quality, customizable clothing and merchandise, catering for all sports teams, businesses, social clubs and events. FSH Training Limited, a team of expert frontline paramedics and firefighters delivering first aid, fire safety, manual handling and patient handling for all business environments. And JH Fitness, an Irish-based online coaching business specialising in sustainable fat loss, lifestyle change and long-term health for real-world men and women. Support local. Check out all of our partner sponsor links in the podcast description. Welcome back to the Irish Mag Show. We've just done an ad hoc impromptu season review there, lads, between us, which we didn't even have on the cards, even though we don't plan anything on this podcast anymore. We kind of just roll with it, and especially when Chris was here. But let's talk about the last two games that have taken place, because there's a lot more positives to take from what we've seen in those two games. And obviously, lads, one of them, I was sitting in St. James's Park for one of the most incredible games and finishes I've seen live. It was magnificent. Sitting in St. James's Park, watching the most ridiculous red card handed out to Jacob Ramsey for an apparent dive. It happened right down. I was in the lower leases. It literally happened in front of me. And like I couldn't understand why this game was being stopped. Like, I was fine with it not being a penalty, and I was fine with it being a goal kick. And then all of a sudden he's whipping out the yellow and the red. And everyone around us, granted we're biased, but there was just a clear bemusement of how he's booking this guy. Mind the fact
he
didn't dive. Right? And it makes it even worse in terms of, like, we should. Am I asking too much for refs to have common sense? Maybe I am.
Yes.
But to not only book a player for what you perceive to be a dive, but to decide that it's second yellow offense and it's going to end up with this guy being sent off is absolute madness as far as I'm concerned. And we seem to have this theme of collecting stupid refereeing decisions or incompetency or inexplicable things. And maybe every team feels the same, but I just feel like we're seeing more of it than ever this season.
It is. And the ref wasn't going to give anything until Rat Boy Bruno Fernandes and fatheads Harry Maguire start roaring and shouting at him looking for yellow cards. I thought the whole thing of captain being the only one around the referee goes out the window if your jersey is red. I'm just convinced if you're wearing a red jersey, you can have 12 players around it. Doesn't matter. But there was nothing going to happen there until the two of them start whinging, saying they wanted a foul or they wanted a second yellow, which is disgusting considering if you've seen the Harry Maguire dive the previous week when he went down with the head injury. He's a arsehole.
Ridiculous. It is ridiculous. However, the game swings within minutes. Maybe the referees realize I've done a boo-boo here, but he gives a penalty, and he's right to give a penalty. It is a penalty, and I saw Man United accounts and people going, "He's not." Of course, he's touched him. It's in the box, and he's taken it. There's no doubt. So suddenly we're 1-0 up with 10 men. And then, I mean, we're having deja vu because this is like Barcelona as well. That just happened last night. But there's a lot of minutes played. And the anxiety that was going around the stadium was palpable as we're standing there in the stadium, in the Leazes. And you just kind of felt it was coming. You just kind of, like, I had my hands like this. And, sometimes when you just knew that the time was going to be there for them to have one proper attack, and then a soft free kick is given, and it's just like it's almost written against us. Doesn't really matter though, does it, Chriso? Because Newcastle, as we do when the adversity comes and everything's against us, we come out in the second half and we went, "Fuck this! You're not going to beat us like this." I think Man United came out thinking, 10 men, no bother. What a lovely thing to come up to St. James's Park. Newcastle dug in. Every player to a man worked their absolute socks and balls off. And
they say
William
Asula. The 12th man being the St. James's Park fans.
Well, to be fair,
right? But they're the 11th man.
Man United had 12 men because of the ref, and then we went down to 10. So we had the 11th man being the crowd.
That's what I mean. We had the 11th man this time, but they all kind of. There was a lot of injustice there. There was a lot of, there's no way that this team is going to beat us at St. James's Park under the lights. There's just no way. And it happens. Again, like I said to you before, about the spirits in St. James's Park. They come up through the field. Those guys kind of, it's like as if they hadn't played the first half. They were just full of energy, running around, covering space. It was legitimately unbelievable, and capped off by the fact that Asula intercepted in his own half, passed it back, and then ran the fastest anyone's ever ran this season. As in, I think it was 36 kilometers an hour.
6.55 kilometers per hour.
I mean, that's like a bloody gazelle. And essentially, a little bit of trickery. God bless him, he tries it all the time, and half the time he falls all over himself. But a little bit of trickery. The Man United, the man red left back, can't even remember his name. He's so terrible.
Malacia.
And I can't believe he actually managed to curl it around Harry Maguire's big square head. But it was absolutely sensational. And Razor's commentary for BBC Newcastle was astounding. It was. I watched it so many times. It's such great commentary and it's such a great goal. But I think it was fully deserved, to be honest with you, because the second half, we were all over them. Over them, man to man, all over them.
Absolutely was deserved. But unfortunately, if you had kept him there till today, trying to recreate that, he'll never do it again.
Well, I was going to ask you, right? Alan, you were a striker back in your day, so I have two questions on this. One, as stepovers go, they must have the widest diameter stepovers I've ever had, because they're like proper, like wide radius around the ball. But number two, when we get to the end of the season and all games have been played, and whoever organizes it is nominating the candidates for goal of the season, do you think that goal will be
It'll be up there. It'll be up there, I said it last night in the Bleaker. Asula plays like someone who's playing FIFA for the first time and has just learned how to do skill moves. He's just spinning that analog around, hoping that something works out. And it worked out that time. And it was, don't get me wrong, an amazing run, amazing touch. It was a good step over and an amazing finish. But there's not a top behind those man's eyes. He just runs.
8 out of 10 times, he would have fallen over on the sideline because he nearly fell over. Remember, he was tripping himself up, and I thought, "Oh, mother of God!" But honestly, fair play to him. I mean, you're right, Al. 9 times out of 10, that would have went over the bar. Would have went into the Gallagher. He would have fluffed it. He would have hit it at the player. But look, he's a unicorn. This fella, he's a unicorn. And anyhow, needs to give it a rest with the whole kind of he's showing his potential now. Give me a break. Honest to God, we need a few
quid. He's adding a few quid to his price tag at the end of the season by saying he played in the last 16 of the Champions League against Barcelona. Of course, he's worth 40 million.
Let's get 40 million for him because. Sorry,
I mean, do you know when
he wanted to rebel? He wanted to rebel in his.
No. But when we talk about Barcelona, I'm going to read out the WhatsApp message I sent you about Asula before when we were watching the game. But I was looking at it thinking, if Isak had scored that goal, you know, it would just be, it'd be like, oh, he's the best striker in the world. But it's Asula. And just the Asula chants throughout the entire city for that song were unbelievable. But I just think that resolve, that backbone that we have, that we this is the segue I'm trying to make, is we keep producing this, Alan, when everything's against us. You know, it's when we're going up a hill. It's when the ref is making decisions that are against us. It's when we go down to 10 men. It's if we're losing. It's if there's an incident we didn't like. It's if there's, one of our players gets a kick. It seems like we need and thrive on something bad to happen to us for us to actually really and truly show our true selves. And it's a shame, as great as it is, it's a shame that we only see it when the shit's happening.
Eddie Howe needs to start telling the players that the ref is talking about them behind their backs before the game.
Yeah,
I heard he called you shit, and just go out. We need, I don't understand why we have to have this mentality of everyone's against us and now we can do it. It's very frustrating, but it's nice that we can do it when the chips are down. And but why does it have to be our best performances are when decisions go against us, when we have a player sent off? It just doesn't. Arguably, our two best performances this season are Man United at home when we had a player sent off, and Liverpool at home we had a man sent off as well. Now, granted, we lost against Liverpool, but
we should have been.
Still a great performance. It boggles the mind.
Let's be honest, right? We should have won a lot of games this season, but we just aren't taking our chances. I mean, honest to God, we have bought in nearly £200 million worth of attacking talent, and none of them have delivered, right? And in this game here, somebody that we have completely written off has decided a one in a season kind of a thing, because he didn't play too badly. He was chasing the ball like a dog in the park. He was chasing the ball all over the place, right? He got the ball, quite a nice layoff. Like you said, Al, the step over it wasn't the step over. I don't know what it was. But look at that strike. This is what can happen. But we can't be relying on this. There's so many games that if we had a proper striker, an actual genuine proper striker, I don't know who that is, by the way, lads, so don't ask me, but we definitely would be, honest to God, we'd definitely be fighting for 4th or 5th right now if we had a striker. But we don't.
That's not an outrageous statement at all.
No, I said last night that if we had a striker on the pitch, you would have been 1 or 2-0 up at half time.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And that's probably a good path into the Barcelona game because not a whole lot changed team-wise. I mean, shout out Ramsdale, who obviously played quite well against in both games, really, I suppose.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
He's keeping Nick Pope out of the team as it stands for the foreseeable. Ramsey coming back in after getting sent off against Man United. He was starting against Barcelona, had a brilliant game as far as I'm concerned. We'll come to Lewis Hall in a minute, lads, because he gets his own spot on this show at this stage.
Yeah.
But you alluded to it earlier. You called him sick note. Anthony Gordon apparently is too sick to start the game, which is a strange one. Even Alan Shearer on co-coms was saying, if it was him, he'd be battling to start, and he'd be, play me for a half and take me off at half time. Then if I'm not feeling up to it. And I think as good a performance as we put in against Barcelona, and as I actually thought we were brilliant for the majority of everything we did, like they couldn't handle the intensity, the pressure, the closing down. Sander was unbelievable with Joe Linton in midfield. I thought Ramsey was giving us loads in terms of bringing the ball forward. It was just, for me, a couple of things. The timing of the runs, a little bit off. That's where, Elanga comes into it. Elanga's cross is coming a little bit late. A couple of wrong decisions, and ultimately that clinicality that Osula doesn't have and that Elanga doesn't have.
Yeah.
And it just comes back to the point we've reached, Krisho, clearly with Eddie Howe, is that maybe it's because we were playing Man United and then Barcelona, who aren't going to play a low block, right? They aren't going to do what Brentford did to us. That Eddie Howe clearly was looking at it going, I need pace, I need energy, I need runners, and I'll sacrifice potential clinicality or experience or composure in front of goal to just get those chances. And we did get those chances, and we got plenty of them. But as we said, all those things I listed came into play, and we didn't score. It obviously, when Barnes does get the goal, there's a slight difference. Jacob Murphy's come on the pitch, had a great chance himself off his left foot. It's a pity he didn't hit the target.
Yeah.
And Murphy does what Elanga didn't do for the whole game. He got the ball and he kicked it. Whereas Elanga just puts the head down and runs. But it does result in the goal. But for me, that should have been our second goal and not our first.
Yeah. And look, there's another instance, Paul, where there was a real breakaway there in the second half. Elanga didn't pass it. Headless chicken, head lost complete, no composure. I don't really want to get into this, but I know Al is
you do, because Alan wants you to get into it.
He's chewing on the inside of his mouth, right? And I think like I said, we played very well. Again, we didn't take the chances that we gave ourselves. It is very unfortunate that I again have to bring this up, that Elanga is not good enough to play for Newcastle United. Stop saying, oh, he was very good tonight, or he's improving, isn't he? 25 games into his professional career with Newcastle United, he has done nothing to warrant the price tag, a starting place. Why wasn't Murphy starting? I don't understand. And I know we have to give this guy a chance. He was absolutely way off it. He doesn't know where to stand defensively when we don't have the ball. He doesn't know where to stand on the right-hand side, whether he's going inside or going outside. He doesn't look across the line when he makes his runs. When he does get a chance to cross the ball in, some of them are half decent. Oh, whoopee. He's able to cross it in from the right wing. Good for him. He's a right winger. He does nothing on the left-hand side to get a shot off once in a while. And even if he does, they're very tame. So I'm not trying to be sensational. I'm just saying I've had it with this guy. This guy has had too many chances to do anything. I would have brought Nobby Solano back, and he's 57, and he would have had a better game than Elanga did. And Al, I know you're going to give it to me, all this, but I'm only saying that what I saw with my own eyes, it's not enough. It's not enough. It's just not enough.
Perfectly okay. I'm going to cast your mind back to when we signed two players that we currently consider to be two of our best players.
Right.
When we signed Anthony Gordon in the
Yeah.
first 6 months, he scored his first goal for us on the last day of the season.
Yeah, against
Right?
Chelsea.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, 100%. We signed Lewis Hall, man who we all now consider to be one of the best left backs in England. He didn't play for us in this season. He was on loan for us. It took a year for these lads to get themselves right with us. To write a player off this quickly is ludicrous. Now, you see, when I've told you that, you're now going, oh, shit, he has a point here. And now
No,
you're
no,
sick
no, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm
This
not.
is healthy. This is healthy. It's like
No,
couples
I'm
counseling.
not. No, I'm not.
No,
No,
but
go.
right. If we had a striker on the pitch, at least one of the crosses that Elanga put into the box yesterday goes into the back of the net. Particularly the one where he puts it across and Asula just doesn't anticipate the cross coming across and just misses it. And
Yeah.
that's why I think he hesitated for the cross that he took an extra touch on, because he's going, I've put 2 or 3 crosses in already and nobody has been there. I have to make an extra touch. I have to look up. I have to try, because he's not looking up when he's crossing the ball 9 times out of 10. Because he's putting them into the area of.
Do you mean a Chris Wood? Do you mean a Chris Wood?
I wouldn't go with Chris Wood. I'm going. We spent 55 million on Wissa, who doesn't get enough grief. He is stinking. We spent 69 million on Voltemada. We're playing him in centre midfield for some reason. I don't understand it. If I was Eddie Howe, I'd be saying to him, if you go more than 20 yards outside their box, you're not getting paid. Stand offside until we have the ball. Don't drop any further. Just stand offside and be an out and out number 9. You're too big. You're too lumbersome at the minute. Just to be a striker. We know you're great at linking the play, but at the minute we can't afford to train the lads on how you play. So just adapt your game a little bit. We're not doing that. We're playing with
Voltemada. You mean Voltemada or
yeah. Wissa, I'm finished with. He's running around.
Neither of them are strikers. Neither of them
are
strikers.
I can guarantee you, when we have a proper season with Nick Voltemada and we have a team built around him in the same way we had a team built around Isaac, we will see a different Nick Voltemada next season. Wissa, on the other hand, was meant to be our plug-and-play striker, and he has stank the gaff out. I was at the PSV game where he got 2 goals, and I turned around to Emma and I said, do you know what? I would have scored them 2 goals. He can't run.
Emma might have scored them.
Yeah, that's it. Like, it's just shocking. Like,
see the way you veered here, right?
But yeah, and I'm
stinking.
No,
I know what you're saying. These are the
but
two
that's
are
what
more
I want to go. Yeah, but you're giving out about Elanga constantly.
Yeah.
I just want to cast your mind to the Gazette, Yahoo, Athlon Sport, who are a Barcelona, like I think the fanzine, Fot Mob, SofaScore, and the Chronicle, because it's Lee Ryder and he's a weirdo. Right, so we've got a 7, a 7, a 7, a 7.5, and a 7.1 on SofaScore. They're Elanga's ratings. Now, the Chronicle, Lee Ryder, always a happy man, gave him a 5. You're on par with Lee Ryder. Yeah, now there you go, Mr. Lee Ryder. That's all you were.
No, come on. Look, no, a 7.1 is nothing to be writing home about, right?
It's nothing to be writing home about. I knew you were going to say that.
He was FIFA
third best, joint second best, third best rated players on those lists. Crap. Yeah, you're Lee Ryder.
No, Tonali and Joelinton and Ramsey played. They're the top 3.
See, he was joint with most of them. They were all getting.
I tell you what,
Alan, come on. I mean,
lads,
I'm
I've been doing
our players, but this guy is. He's FIFA 22, dancing on ice here. He doesn't know what's going on, right?
Look, I'll tell you what, right? As I've been doing for 116 odd episodes, I'm going to meet you in the middle here, lads. I'm going to mediate this one. It's a really, by the way, this is a really good debate to have. Like, I mean, this is the right thing to talk about when it comes to a player like Elanga, because there's going to be some big decisions coming about his future in the team. I think that I sit somewhere in between the two of you in the sense of he is such a handful. He destroyed João Cancelo on the right, and he can outrun the majority of fullbacks and wingbacks, even the quickest ones. He can compete with them. But for me, it's the head down and not head up nature of it, which is really, really, really slowly getting better at. As quick as it running is a little bit slow, I suppose, at changing and learning. So it's the head down nature of his game, and by the time he gets it up, it's almost too late. Or this kind of reluctance to just throw his foot in a cross a little bit quicker. He always wants to run the extra few yards. He wants to just take that little bit extra. And the Harvey Barnes, I don't want to call it a chance because it didn't happen really.
Yeah.
But there was a point where we're on the break, Elanga's breaking on the right, and Barnes is coming in on the far side. And even before Barnes is in the box, it was a perfect moment to swing a slightly early ball across the edge of the box, just inside the box, far enough away from the keeper. And he took the extra yard, 2 yards, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And by the time he's crossed it, the keeper's been able to catch it. That's where, and I'm not saying Jacob Murphy is necessarily a better player than him, but Murphy would have crossed that ball sooner. We don't know if it would have went in or not. Fair enough. Now, the thing is with those, that can be coached. There's been no time really to coach it because we have had 52 games to play. So that's where I agree with Crisho in terms of like he's doing an awful lot of things wrong. His touch is quite poor for a professional footballer, but that's not really his game. As long as he can receive the ball, run across and dribble, he can get by at this level. But I do think there's more to come from him, whether it's Eddie Howe or someone else. But obviously Eddie Howe has proven his ability to manage players, to coach him into making better decisions, to look up a bit more calm. And I think I said this before, but he's too quick. It's like you remember he was posting his videos last summer of him on the running track. And he was like, he looked in insane shape and he looked like an Olympic sprinter. And I almost think that his body physically is faster than his brain. So therefore his coordination, his foot-eye coordination almost is off sometimes. And that's why he fumbles the ball when he receives a pass or doesn't give the right ball and so on. So I think there's a player there that doesn't fit perfectly into our system. Where, meaning we can do more in specific scenarios. Barcelona was a perfect game for Elanga if he had those extra couple of things, because they had that high line and so much room to run. In those games, he's a massive asset. But when there's a low block and it's congested, and he's going to get short passes to feet and not in space, Chris shows you're right. Like that's almost a waste of time and a waste of his talents. So I think we need to be smart about when to use them. And I would argue Eddie Howe has done that because you can see when he uses them and when he doesn't. So I think Alan's right. I think that he does need more time. And I'd like to see Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall and whoever have more time with him to coach on some of those things. But there is an asset there that potentially next season we could see a lot better in the Newcastle shirt, assuming he's still there. Now, I just wanted to go back on one point really quickly because Alan started talking about Voltemade. There was a moment I think Voltemade should have been brought out at the end of that game because he could have slowed down the game a little bit and still give us that in the box threat if he actually stayed there and was told to. But I just wanted to gauge your opinion, lads. There is a possibility that Nick Voltemade plays up front for Germany in the World Cup. And the last major tournament he played for the under-21s, he absolutely destroyed it. Now, it's a totally different level of football. And, he was probably 23 at the time because of the way that weird under-21 age group works or however that goes. But if Nick Voltemade, Crisho, goes and plays up front for Germany in the World Cup and they get to a semi-final and he scores 3 goals in the tournament, is everyone going to be looking at going, what the fuck was Eddie Howe playing him in midfield for? So that's just interesting to think.
Look at the way that they have him play internationally, right? There's a lot of players like this that play club football. They don't really play in the same system at all, right? And they seem to do very well at international. They come back to their club and they can't hit a barn door, right? This is exactly what's going to happen here as well. Nick Voltemade is going to play in a system that suits his strengths, and he's going to be in the correct position, which I believe is a number 10 behind a striker or as a striker, right? As a striker.
He plays as a striker with 2 quick wingers going by him and Florian Wirtz in behind him, supporting him as basically a false 9. He is the
false 9.
Yeah, so he plays as the striker, but he has someone basically standing beside him, which I think we need to do as well. I've been banging the drum, but you're dead right. You are dead.
They need to watch. Yeah. Not that Eddie Howe needs to be watching bloody how Germany play, but they need to see how the system that he's put in. Maybe we could have that with Elanga, Gordon, Barnes, and Nick Voltemade. That 4 somehow make that. I don't know who the hell would play. Maybe Gordon as the Wirtz kind of.
You see, that's the thing. They don't all need to be on the pitch at the same time. The opponent, for me, the opponent comes into it. So if you're playing against Brentford or Everton, I'll just keep using them as examples because they were so organized against us. It doesn't really suit Elanga, right? You need someone who can handle, the congested space and the low blocking. Yeah, and maybe Gordon and Barnes are better in wide areas with Voltemade up top, right? And then when you're playing your Barcelona, that's when you need Gordon up front, Elanga on the right. Asula can go in there because he's so quick. That's clearly what Eddie Howe is favouring at the moment. So the opponent for me is important. But I'm just imagining that scenario with if Voltemade has a good World Cup. There's going to be a lot of questions as to, well, what are we doing playing him in midfield alongside Tonali and
or we could sell him, for £140 million.
If someone offers £140 million, I will drive him wherever he's offered, because that's ridiculous money for him.
We overpaid for him. We overpaid for him as is, but everyone knew we had the money to spend. He's arguably a £50 million player, right? Hasn't really been playing at it, but with his age, with his potential, with what he's done and what he can do, I think that's fine. So we have overpaid, but again, I still think that we need to give him more time and figure out how do we coach him better, how do we get him into the squad and playing like to be a key figure in the team. But right now, and this is kind of the point I was making, with so little games left, Eddie Howe seems to have just put all the eggs in the basket of, let's just go with quick players up front because they're doing more for me than the other.
Well, it worked. It worked for the last couple of seasons. We're a quick counter-attacking, basically ferocious team that catches people on the hop, and we've scored before they even turn around. That's the way Newcastle were. We swallowed up the ground, playing at home. Teams hadn't a bloody chance. Whereas this is what we've lost. We're playing 3 games a week. The intensity has dropped like 25-30%. It has to, because we don't have the squad. Lads are getting injured. And then you have Voltemade just kind of swung in there and dropped in the middle. Poor chap, Jesus Christ, the balls are coming in at him fast. He's doing his best to kind of turn on them and look for someone. But before you know it, like Pedro was saying last night, and a couple of other Barcelona players were saying last night, the Premier League is ferocious. I mean, you don't get a chance to even think. And these are some of the best midfielders in the world. They were swallowed up last night. You can imagine Voltemade. I know what Eddie Howe's trying to do, give him a bit more space out from the four defenders all over him. You give him a little bit of space out here. But there's nobody there. So we need kind of how Germany use them. We need that.
Well, let's see if they do. If they do use him, I know Havertz is just back as well. It'd be interesting to see, and he might go to that World Cup start up front for Germany, and they could get knocked out of the group stage. You know what I mean? You just don't know. It'd just be an interesting proposition to think about happening, because he has been first choice for Germany with Havertz out, and they're very much lacking in strikers as well.
Just to be sensational real quickly, does anyone think that, like Al, like you said last night, that Eddie Howe said F you to Gordon and told him to shut his mouth and sit on the bench?
I don't think so. I don't think it was. I think it was just he was ill. And I think that was Bunce turning around to Eddie Howe and saying, he's not fit enough for 90 minutes. He has 30 minutes in him, and that's it. So he was told, okay, I'll get him on the pitch after 60 minutes or 70 minutes, including added time. But just one more thing on Voltemade. When we signed him, if I had said to you he'll get 10 goals this season, would you have been happy with it?
I would have said, how many is everyone else going to get?
That's what you mean. Like, he's gotten 10 goals. He's got 10 goals already. He's not doing badly.
And 2 of those goals came against Chelsea, if I'm not wrong. No.
Yeah.
Who do we play? Who do we play on Saturday at 5:30, lads?
Oh, baby!
Look at that for a segue. What a natural segue. This is podcast poetry here.
Wow, you are such a pro.
Just can't help it, lads. It just comes to me. Before we jump onto that, last thing. I watched the end of the Barcelona game standing up almost on the couch. The clock hits 94 minutes. Now, I've already said this on the True Faith pod, so if anybody listens to that too, I'm going to repeat myself. But the 94 minutes hits 94-0-0. I don't know if anyone saw this, lads. The ref does this with his earpiece. Somebody says something to him in his ear, and he keeps running. He drops his hand and he keeps running.
Yeah.
The transition happens. The ball is going down. Now, since then, I've looked into it, and people are saying, okay, 30 seconds, whatever. It was fine to add on Tonali. Wasted some time on a kick. I don't really think. I was very frustrated by the fact that the whistle didn't go. I felt like this has happened to us before. It brought back all the PSG, Tino Livramento injustice memories. It was a penalty, fair enough. But I just wanted to get your thoughts, lads, on just that decision. Now the 24 hours have passed, I've probably calmed down a little, but I really want to know what was said in that referee's ear, because he said 4 minutes. There was no real stoppages. There was no injuries. There was no time wasting that I noticed.
The ball was in their half. at 4 minutes. That game should have been blown up before the transition into our half happened. It didn't make any sense. It did stink. I'm not saying, UEFA it against us, FIFA it against it, but it just, the whole Yamal not getting booked for the most obvious and cynical block of a tackle I've ever seen.
And was it Lopez as well, the guy who
jumped on someone's back? It just didn't make any sense. There was an awful lot of things they got away with. That the penalty was a penalty. It was slight contact. Almo made a meal of it. Penalty. Unlucky penalty, but it's just something.
But you combine the clock with those lack of yellow card decisions, and then booking Tonali for a ridiculous one. It just all seemed a little bit stacked against us once more, Chris. And I just like Alan said, I don't know why the final whistle doesn't go on. Smack on the 94.
We know who runs UEFA. We know who runs FIFA. You've seen these greasers sliming across the street. You've seen these guys, right? This is a dirty, filthy game. We love it. We love supporting it, but it is a filthy game behind closed doors. And there's a lot of money on the table, and everyone needs to get their slice. I'm not throwing out accusations here, right? But it was very, very evident last night that referee was A, out of his depth for a game that big. B, somebody was talking to him in his ear throughout most of the game. Whether it was like, no, don't give me a yellow card, he'll miss the second leg. Whatever it was. I don't know where he was from. Hungary, I think. Or maybe it was from Hungary.
I think he's Italian, no?
Is he Italian?
I thought I heard he was Italian, and because somebody said Tonali was talking Italian to him, but he clearly had beef with Tonali or something because he's booked him, and maybe they've.
He's a Milan fan, that's why.
Yeah, it was very evident that he was out of his depth, and he got a lot of decisions wrong, and he set out with a goal of, let's make sure that Barcelona don't lose, and also the world's supposed best player in the world gets a chance to continue playing in the Champions League. And he achieved his objectives. Look, we can't boo-hoo here. We've had many games over the last 3-4 seasons where it's kind of like the Premier League has kind of gone, give Newcastle another attack. You know, it'll be exciting for TV, for the fans. That's exactly what happened last night. They gave them one last attack. They let them kick it that way. And unfortunately, Barcelona, you know, the way they play, they just dribbled into our box.
Do you know what for me, it's just, when you think about what football is about, you know, that game, Newcastle deserved to win. I don't know, it's not up to the referee to decide who's going to win, but it just felt like if there was any ounce of opportunity for that not to happen, it was happening. That's what it felt like for me. And it's
we've all seen this film many a time when Newcastle can see the silly goal. Yeah, one of my mates sent me a message and said, what a win for you. And I went, we love conceding a late goal. About 5 minutes later, he just
so it's Chris Show. It's Alan's fault that this happened. That's what. Okay. I needed someone to concrete blame.
Paul, it's 14 games. It's 14 games this season. Plus 90 conceded a goal. 14 games.
Is that official? I thought it was plus 80. But anyway, we do have an awful lot of late goals conceded. We were going to talk a lot about the mentality, lads. We might hold off to next week and make it maybe a bigger conversation, just in terms of, we'll see what happens with Barcelona to see, do we have the mentality to finish the season with a bang? Because where we've dropped points has been late in games, and that wasn't us in the past. So I'd say we'll hold that for next week. The whole lot of it stinks. Like, lads, look at FIFA. Ronaldo gets the red card against Ireland, right? And he's still allowed play in the first game of the World Cup. It's absolutely disgusting. It's just it stinks to high hell. But look, we're not going to solve the FIFA and UEFA.
Just really quickly, and just for fun, Paul, what's your rating for Elanga last night?
My rating?
Yeah.
Depends if I go with like the Licky.
No, sorry. It's a very simple question. What's your rating out of 10 for Elanga last night?
I probably would have given him 7. Might have been generous. If we'd have won the game, I'd give us a 7, but then I was in a bad mood, so maybe go back to 6.8.
6.8. Al?
I would have given him a 7. I wasn't saying he was the best player on the pitch. Right. By any stretch of imagination.
Lewis Hall, by the way, gets an 11.
By a mile, Lewis Hall was the best player on the pitch.
And I'll give him a 7, so I give him a 6. All right, so 6.5. Okay, not bad. Okay. That's okay, isn't it, for 55
room to improve.
Right. Okay, great. Okay, brilliant.
There we are. We're back to happy families again. Longstaff scored an unbelievable goal during the week, by the way.
Yeah, the touch. What a goal.
What a goal. Back to happy families, Al. And speaking of happy families, we play Chelsea at the weekend, lads. We'll do a very quick prediction. There's no point even trying to guess what team is going to play because who the hell knows with Barcelona around the corner. We've not even done much predictions. Do we think we're going to get through? Look, we're going to do quick fire questions, lads. I'm going to give you 2 questions each before it comes to meetups. Alan, first of all, a Chelsea prediction in terms of scoreline, and then second, are we getting through to the next round? I don't care about the score.
Chelsea prediction, 1-1. Are we getting through? Yes, in a rotten 1-0 win where we have the backs against the wall, but we get a goal early and hold on.
Wow.
Love both of those to have. Well, I mean, 1-1 against Chelsea away. You're probably taking that. They're in a bit of form as well. Krisho?
1 sec. It depends on whether Lang is playing. No. We're gonna lose. We're gonna lose to Chelsea, sadly, because it's going to be another terrible refereeing performance. 3-1, and we'll have we'll miss a penalty because Gordon's a clown, and we should sell him in the summer. And then against Barcelona, unbelievably, it's going to be 1-1, and we're going to win on penalties. And it's going to be one of the greatest nights of our lives.
Take it.
I'm going to say we draw 2-2 with Chelsea. I think we'll concede goals. Joe Pedro's in good form, but I think they will concede goals as well. I think Big Nick probably starts this game and might actually bag a goal. I don't think we're going to get through to the Champions League. I think it's going to go very late. I think there'll be goals because we can score against them. Maybe it goes to extra time and they score in the extra time because I think they'll have a bit more in terms of look at their bench even. Do you know what I mean? They brought on Danny Olmo and Marcus Rashford.
Wow.
Danny Olmo's unbelievable player, and they brought on Rashford as well. So I just think they might have a little bit too much for us with all the circumstance, and we are jaded, lads, and we're going to be knackered after Chelsea. So and look, hold their heads high. Last 16 of the Champions League is totally fine by me as an overall, and then we go and we give it absolute socks for the last 9 games, or by then it'll be 8 games in the league. Right, sorry, back to matters of the Irish Mags. Alan Williamson, Chelsea on Saturday, 5:30 kickoff. Where will there be meetups taking place?
So naturally, we always have our meetup in Bleecker Street Bar, which will be there. So about 4:30, get yourself down. But we have another one of our Irish Mag road trips where we have lads heading to Cork. But so Quinlan's Bar, Blackpool, Cork. If you're any way around that, you will have a giant cohort of Irish Mags. I unfortunately won't be there because I have a small child. I'm not allowed to go, and it's on Mother's Day on Sunday, so didn't think I'd get away with the first one away. But yeah, that was the real reason. So yeah, if you're anywhere around Quinlan's Bar, Blackpool, Cork, there will be a massive Irish Mags meetup. From last time I heard, there was at least 10 lads from Dublin going down, and a couple of wives and girlfriends, if you know what I mean. But yeah, if you're anywhere around it, get yourself in. And if you're anywhere around Bleecker Street Bar and Dozette Street, get yourself into any of the meetups because we're always there no matter what.
And anyone who makes both meetups within a 2-hour spot gets a free pint.
Off me and
Love that. Classic. And love the meetups, lads. We've had meetups coming thick and fast, and there are a lot more to come, particularly with the Tyne Weird derby against the Macca's.
Yes.
Just a few weeks away. We're going to have multiple meetups.
If anyone wants to organise a meetup for the Sunderland game, please get in contact with either myself or Tev or any of us, and we will do our best to help you. We'll plug it. We'll do everything you need to get as many people as we can, because we want as many mags in as many pubs, drinking as many pints as we possibly can as we beat the unwashed.
Oh, yes. Baby. Well said.
Drink sensibly, of course, but not too sensibly. We had 9 meetups in Ireland for the League Cup final. I'd say we're already halfway there with what we know for Sunderland, if not beyond there. So the more the merrier. Let's try and get an absolute rally around the country to go and play the dirty Mackhams. Right, lads, that brings episode 117 to a close for this week. Thank you very much, Alan and Krisho, for joining me. Thank you, listeners, viewers, commenters, and subscribers. Check out all the socials below. Check out theirishmags.com for all the latest updates, information on meetups. Going to get some photographs up there as well. I saw some Irish mags taking photos with Tino Asprey, and I was very, very, very jealous.
Yeah, I was
So,
jealous of that one too.
Oh,
He
yeah,
always
yeah,
seems
just
to meet players.
Just a real quick shout out to my niece, Erin, who is now a Newcastle fan. So welcome to
Go on, Aaron.
the Irish Mags. Welcome to the Irish Mags.
Yes.
We'll get your brother to be a Newcastle fan by the end of the year. Don't worry.
Let's see.
One step at a time. We'll be back for more Irish Magnus after the Barcelona game. So by which we will have played Chelsea and Barcelona in the Camp Nou, and we'll know a lot more about what the rest of the season looks like. So until then, how are you, the lads? Slán go full, and we'll see you all very soon.
Slán.
Good luck.